And welcome to another edition of Community Matters. I'm Jim Cameron, your program director and host of this program. And we're joined today by Carrie Bernier, who is the president and CEO of the Norwalk Community College Foundation. It's good to have you on the program, Carrie.
Thank you so much, Jim. It's wonderful to be here.
Some of our viewers may recognize you from your previous incarnation when you were executive director of the Community Fund in Darien. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you. That was about 4.5 years ago that I was the executive director of the Community Fund.
And you have I was reading your background and you actually were trained as a lawyer.
Yes, yes. And if anyone had any motor vehicle infractions or other arrests, then they might have seen me in GA1 in criminal court in Stamford. I was the prosecutor and assistant state's attorney in Stamford for a couple of years.
Prosecutor, it's good.
When I practiced. Yeah, so hopefully they didn't encounter me there.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about your current job, which is at the Ncc Foundation. And before we talk about the good works of the foundation, I think it's probably worthwhile to chat a little bit about Norwalk Community College, because some of our viewers may not be familiar with the college. I didn't realize it was actually founded in 1961. I didn't know it was around that long. But tell us about what NCC is and who the students are that go there.
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you for the opportunity. So NCC is an incredible gem right here in our community. A community college, as the name suggests, serves the entire community. And we have the distinction of having a wonderful history of a high quality, affordable, and accessible education right here in Fairfield County. We serve anywhere between 6,000 and 12,000 students in total each year. Students can come here both as matriculating students seeking a degree, their associate degree, or they can come here in the continuing ed or workforce development programs looking to upskill or reskill in a new trade as continuing ed students. We also have students who come as lifetime learners. We have them as old as 90 at NCC as lifetime learners and as young as College for Kids. They come in the summer for school-aged programs for students.
And if I'm not mistaken, those programs for seniors are actually free of charge. Is that true?
They are, and it's incredibly robust, this program for seniors to be able to audit classes at NCC. And I've talked to some of our seniors in the Lifetime Learners program, and even during COVID, they've been participating remotely. So if any of your viewers would like to find out more about it, they should definitely check out the NCC website, because it's an incredible resource for continuing education with a wealth of topics and professors across the disciplines on campus.
So let's talk a little bit about the students that go to Norwalk Community College. Where are they from, and what kind of things are they studying?
So interestingly, about 70% of our students are part-time students and 30% are full-time. So a lot of our students juggle multiple responsibilities in their household. They have jobs outside of their studies and caregiving responsibilities as well. They come from 63 different countries, and there are over 32 languages spoken at NCC. One of my favorite realizations when I came here and first joined the team at the foundation was that I could be walking down the hall and be the only one speaking English. And it was just such a vibrant, robust atmosphere, a lot of fun. Our students come from, far away, but within Fairfield County. Stamford is the #1 feeder town with students coming to NCC. Norwalk is the second feeder town. We also have substantial students coming from Bridgeport, Greenwich, and then all the smaller towns in between, our suburban communities, Darien, New Canaan, Westport, Weston, Wilton. We have students coming as far as Westchester County and also from New Haven and the greater New Haven area.
And they're all commuters because you don't have any dormitories. Is that true?
That's correct. Yes, there's a bus line that runs here for students who don't have cars. We're in suburban West Norwalk, and so students take a bus to get here, or some of them ride their bicycles, or some of them have cars. We have a substantial immigrant population with the largest English as a second language program of the community colleges in the state. And it's quite a a robust community, also of first generation students who have neither parent graduated with a bachelor's degree from college.
I was going to say, I imagine this is the first step in higher education for a lot of families, and they must be very proud to be able to send their kids off to Norwalk Community College.
Absolutely. And for me, the first graduation that I was part of was so inspiring, because seeing those family members who have a son or daughter graduating from college, or a spouse for the first time, the pride and the joy on their faces was just something that you can't capture in words. It was really inspiring.
So why are they going to NCC? Why start at a community college instead of going to UConn or part of the Connecticut University system?
So I think there are multiple reasons why students start at NCC, but the main one for me is that it's the best kept secret financially. You can start here and take a full course load of classes for about $4,500 a year in tuition. That's pretty amazing.
And how does that compare to a full, matriculating student at a university?
Well, it depends on if you're going to a public college or a private college, but it can range from, UConn, I believe, is if you're an in-state and you're non-residential, it can be in the mid to high $20,000 a year and up, and private schools go all the way up to $75,000 a year. So the price tag is something that you just can't beat. And in addition to that, I think the small class size, the supportive education, and the high quality instruction that's here really gives the other schools a run for their money. We had a student a couple years ago that we actually featured in our annual report who had gotten into Cornell University. He was a Fairfield resident and needed to defer, or maybe they over-enrolled students that year. I'm not sure which one it was, but he came to NCC. And he ended up taking a full year and a half, including summer classes. He earned 60 credits at NCC, and Cornell took all 60 credits from NCC. And when he transferred into Cornell, his parents were happy with all the money he had saved. And he did follow up with me and say that the quality of the instruction at NCC was so high that he found he was using many of the same textbooks at Cornell. And really the instruction in the classroom was not substantially different, and he loved the small class sizes at NCC. I thought that was quite a testament to the quality of the education here.
So NCC is accredited.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean, accredited?
So that means that colleges and education's higher learning, you have to be accredited by an accrediting body for your region. The New England Committee on Higher Education, NECCI, is the accrediting body for our region, and they have accredited NCC, which is what allows our credits to be accepted by other schools. So I think that, whether you're a student that's coming here full time and seeking to get 2 years of really cost-effective education under your belt and then transfer to the bachelor's degree, that's one reason you come. Another might be, we have a lot of students that are going to another school, but they come home in the summer or on vacations, and they take some classes here to get some credits in a very affordable way, out of the way for their bachelor's degree at their other institution. And for other students, this is the ending degree for them, and they're coming to get a college degree and learn a skill, whether it's our nursing school, which most people don't realize you can take your NCLEX exam and become a registered nurse with the associate degree and go to work in our local hospitals. Whether it's an associate degree, the culinary arts program, engineering program, computer science, all of the different programs that we offer here, students, many of them do go up into the workplace and end up, earning a job with their degree from NCC. And the research that I had heard, this is all pre-COVID, but you could earn as much as $10,000 more per year in your annual salary with an associate degree compared to a high school degree.
And actually, NCC started or merged in its early days as being a technical college, did it not?
Yes, Norwalk Community Technical College. Right.
Right.
And I think it was originally housed out of Brian McMahon High School.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Carrie Bernier is our guest today on Community Matters. She is the president and CEO of the Norwalk Community College Foundation, which is a mouthful.
I know.
And we're gonna talk about the foundation, but we're still kind of fleshing out the story of NCC. Full disclosure, we have two currently, and no, actually three former or current NCC students who work at Darien TV 79 as videographers. They're enrolled or were previously enrolled in the video program at NCC, and I can attest to the fact they have an incredible work ethic. Um, very motivated, hardworking, dependable, and they both, the current ones, both are only part-time students because they have almost either part or full-time jobs. How many of the students at NCC are juggling employment along with education?
Oh, more than 3/4 of the students are.
Really?
Yes, yes. And, I think that's one of the things that sets apart NCC students from other college-age students. An incredible hunger and a drive to achieve their college degree, and some of them against a lot of odds. And one thing that is so refreshing here is just the grittiness of NCC students. And I think they are incredibly hardworking, ambitious, and motivated, and really humble in a sense that they don't take anything for granted. Some of them haven't been given a lot in their lives. And so when you give them an opportunity, whether it's you, Jim, at TV 79, which we're so grateful for you taking our interns, or some of the other places that take our interns, these are critical networks that give our students a leg up that they may not otherwise have. They just don't come from backgrounds, some of them, where they have networks in the community or parents or relatives that can introduce them to folks that would give them an internship or a job.
And a lot of them are working because they need to pay for tuition.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
one of the stories I heard was that when tuition is due, there's a line of students outside the bursar's office, and many of them pay their tuition in cash. That they have been stashing money away from the tip jar. One of our students at TV 79 is a full-time barista at Starbucks, and that's how she pays for the classes she takes to pursue her ambitions and career in video production. So these are hardworking kids. So a lot of them we've established are the first generation of their family that's ever gone beyond high school.
Yeah.
Why are they going to college in the first place? There's a lot of trades out there that are going wanting. A lot of apprenticeships and for pipe fitters and carpenters, and a lot of jobs left undone. Are there kids that are going to college that really don't need to go to college, but could be making a very handsome living working in construction or other trades that don't require a degree?
Well, I would say that there probably are not large numbers of people who are here who don't need to be here. I think that the students who come here, there's an incredible value that they place on education, and they're overcoming a lot of odds to come here. And as you've noted, paying money that they don't really have to come here as well. So I think there's a very high value placed on education. And this idea that a core liberal arts education, which you get at NCC, in addition to being able to specialize in a specific field that will help you in your professional aspirations. I mean, I think that the core liberal arts education, the ability to think critically, to speak on your feet, the public speaking classes that we offer, a foreign language requirement, all of those courses that are core to a liberal arts education are so valued here, and it positions students to be able to continue to improve throughout their lives. And that kind of continuous self-improvement, I think, is what drives a lot of our students. We've offered mentorship programs and optional programs where students aren't required to take advantage of certain special opportunities at NCC through the foundation. And I'm always amazed by students that have no time, but they want to do it because they feel like it's going to make them a better person. It's going to make them a more well-rounded person. It's going to teach them key skills that they need to help them reach their goals. So I think these high goals that students set for themselves, and that high bar is what sets our students apart when they're here.
What happens when they graduate? Where do they go? Do they go on for a bachelor's degree? Do they go right into the workforce? How successful are they based on their NCC education?
Well, very successful. We've been tracking a lot of our specialty programs to find out where the students go when they train in a specific discipline. And we actually have the 10-year anniversary of our Center for Science, Health, and Wellness, which is all the allied health fields coming up this year. And so we've been looking at where the students in healthcare programs have gone. Well, with the 3 hospitals just right here in Fairfield County and all the hospitals on the periphery in Connecticut, we've been able to see our students getting snatched up by hospitals and long-term healthcare facilities for positions such as not just nurses, but respiratory therapists, physical therapist assistants, medical assistants, certified nurse aides, roles like that. So our students in healthcare, that's one example of students that I think find quite a welcome job environment when they leave. NCC also has quite a transfer rate. The estimates are at a low 30%, but at a high, it could be more than 50% of our students are transferring out to earn the bachelor's degree. And so I think that shows that some students may surprise themselves when they come here and they maybe didn't find much success in K through 12 schools, and they come here and with this nurturing environment and the small class size, they realize they did better and they liked it more than they thought they would. And those are the students that we say to them at the foundation, don't stop at the associate degree. If you've got the aptitude and the ability and your grades are good, go ahead and go on to get your bachelor's degree. And I know we'll move on to talking about the foundation in a few minutes, but we're quite unique in that we pay for transfer scholarships for some of the highest achieving students to leave NCC and go on and earn that bachelor's degree, because we want them to take their education as high as they possibly can.
Carrie Barney, our guest today on the program, she is the CEO and president of the Norwalk Community College Foundation. So we've talked a little bit about NCC and the students and the programs that are going on there. What's the foundation do to further the work of the college?
So the foundation is the philanthropic arm of the college. We were founded just 4 years after the college, so we are over 55 years old, and we support the college, both the college in terms of academic programs and college advancement programs, and also the students in terms of scholarships. So we raise and invest back in the college nearly $3 million each year. It's unbelievable, the philanthropy of our community to help support NCC students. And it's been historically almost equally split. About half of our investment, around 1.5 million or so, is given away to students in the form of scholarships to help them afford tuition here at NCC. And about half is in college advancement programs, we call them. Those are both programmatic and capital needs of the college, so that we can really make sure that there's a state-of-the-art, high-quality education available for students here. Some examples of recent college advancement and programmatic investments are the film and TV studio, which you mentioned a few minutes ago in the program. So we were lucky enough to receive a gift, and it allowed us to upgrade a 20-year-old film and television studio, which, Jim, full disclosure, you were part of helping us to vet that grant and make sure that the equipment was truly equipment that's used in the field today. So that
and the old equipment's going straight to the Smithsonian, if I'm not mistaken.
I know. People were horrified.
Pretty old. It was pretty old stuff.
Pretty old. And just like the film and TV studio, we recently upgraded this past summer our simulation lab for nursing and healthcare students. We have the ability now, it was built in analog technology, so that was outdated almost when it was built 10 years ago. And now it's all digital with the ability to live stream clinical practices on the mannequins in our simulation lab for nursing students. So if we ever have another time where students need to be at home and we have a, God help us, another plague, we have the ability to live stream all of those clinical practice labs in at the NCC facility. So,
where does this $3 million a year come from?
people in our community who are incredibly, incredibly generous. Most of it, believe it or not, is individual philanthropy in our community. We are just so lucky, and I feel really blessed to have been part of this community, both through the Community Fund of Darien and now here at the NCC Foundation, to really see people that are so committed to giving back to other members of our community who are less fortunate than they are. I have so many of our wonderful supporters who say to me, you know, I went to fill in the blank, wonderful, fancy private school, and they have a huge endowment, and I give to them, but they don't really need it nearly as much as you do. And so I prioritize giving to my local community college too. And then they'll be annual supporters at a very generous level. And I think for me, that is really the pride that I feel in our community, because individuals, corporations, foundations, family foundations support us at NCC and the NCC Foundation so generously so that students can have the opportunity to get a first-rate education at a community college.
You have some famous graduates, and I did not realize that Michael Fideli, who was Lieutenant Governor of Connecticut, was an NCC graduate, and Dick Moshe, who was the mayor of Norwalk, was also an NCC graduate. But a lot of kids come out of the NCC program. They don't go on to riches or fame and fortune, but they do have happy and productive lives. You mentioned that the foundation helps support them in tuition, $4,000 a year for a full course load. Seems like a bargain compared to the private schools, but that's still a bit of a stretch for some of the students that are going to NCC. How many of them get kind of some sort of financial aid, either from the foundation or elsewhere?
Oh gosh, most students, more than 75% of students receive some kind of financial aid, mostly in the form of federal financial aid, and there is state financial aid for students who may be ineligible for that federal financial aid. It's substantial. Yeah, it may not sound like a lot to be, $4,500 in tuition, but it makes a big difference in a student's ability to go to school or not. That $4,500.
Do you have what are referred to as dreamers who go to NCC? Students who are not legal residents, who may have been brought to this country by their parents as immigrants, and maybe the parents are still here or they're not, but their immigration status is still up in the air depending on what Congress does.
We absolutely do. And we allow them to apply for scholarships just like U.S. citizens and permanent residents. We also have a special dedicated fund for Dreamers. It's called the Dream Scholarship for transfer students, because they're not eligible for federal financial aid under Pell. And so they have an extra burden, I think, financially, if they're going on to earn the bachelor's degree. So we have a dedicated fund, the Dream Scholarship, for those dreamers. And then here at NCC, they are eligible for scholarships just like everyone else. I think an important point that I would add with the scholarships is that tuition dollars alone aren't always enough to get students to that finish line of graduation. And there's often so much more that is needed, in particular for those immigrant or first generation students who don't have role models at home to help advise them and guide them when they hit those inevitable bumps in the road of college.
You also have a mentor program. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's part of our what we call wraparound services for students. So in addition to scholarships for tuition, we have some special scholarships that include coaches and mentors. And these are for students who are maybe at a vulnerable GPA range, around 2.5 GPA to 2.8 GPA, a couple missteps or tragedies in their life, and they could really be down at a 2.0 or in the even below that in their GPA, or they could, with some help, maybe advance up and become eligible with a 3.0, 3.5 for a LEAP scholarship to help them with transferring to the bachelor's degree. So we do offer scholarships with those special services. The coaching in particular is unique because we take master's level coaches, and they typically have come from a background in guidance counseling in the high schools, and they help students with academic and personal advising so that they can help them to learn what classes they should take. Make sure you get those core classes out of your way before you take the fun classes. If you're going to transfer, make sure you take the key classes that your transfer school wants to see for your major. So those are some of the challenges that coaches and mentors can help students with. I think also study skills, anxiety around testing, time management, organizational skills, all of those things, especially if students have kind of been passed along in their K through 12 school and maybe haven't gotten a lot of nurturing and support. They come here to college, and it's even more important that they get it here because the stakes are a lot higher and the work is more challenging. So we're really proud of our coaching and mentoring programs for students as well.
How has COVID affected NCC and your students?
Oh gosh, well, I think beyond the way the rest of the world for college students was impacted with just going to remote learning, our students, a lot of them lived on the edge before COVID, and they worked in frontline service jobs, and they needed those jobs as subsistence jobs to help them support themselves through school. And so they lost their jobs, a lot of them, when the world kind of first went black with COVID. If they worked in the restaurant industry or retail, those jobs were gone. Also, a lot of them didn't have reliable Wi-Fi or laptop computers. Our computer center and the library at NCC was full late at night, often with students that needed the computers here to study and participate in their classes. So they didn't have laptops or reliable Wi-Fi to participate in classes. I heard of professors talking about students submitting papers on their phones, writing and submitting papers on their cell phones. So I just couldn't imagine doing a term paper on your phone. So what we did was we very rapidly pivoted to have an emergency fund where we could purchase as many laptops as possible and get them in the hands of the students who needed them. And we started doing that the week after the college closed and learning went virtual. So we've continued that emergency fund because the need really hasn't gone away. I think if anything, with some of the eviction moratoriums ending, we're seeing students still really struggling with housing insecurity, food insecurity. A lot of the emergency funds that we're paying are utility bills, transportation, those kinds of things. A lot of our students are Uber drivers or Lyft drivers, and that went away too. So really, I think a loss of income for our students was the most glaring need and kind of tragedy for them, and they were quite vulnerable on the front lines. There were many that live multiple family members in a small apartment or a home, and so even the remote learning, we heard the faculty say they were hesitant to turn on their computer cameras or their phone cameras because they were embarrassed by their background or by how many people were there, the noise. They really can't concentrate if you've got a lot of people living in a small apartment. So that's some of what we saw from our students during COVID.
You actually have a food bank for students at NCC too.
Yes.
I mean, food insecurity is an issue for these young people.
Yes. So every year the school does a student survey, and they are trying to assess what the greatest needs are that the students need help and support with. And food always tops the list. The food pantry at NCC was the first one of the community colleges in the state of Connecticut, and we've had a robust food pantry with help from student workers as well as AmeriCorps workers help us staff the food pantry. It's been so needed that we've created a second pop-up pantry on the East Campus. NCC has both an East and a West Campus. So to try to destigmatize needing food, they're actually going to be making it look like a regular cafe, but the students don't have to pay. If they can and they want to, they can submit payment for food, but they don't have to. The need is just unbelievable. Over the holidays and at Thanksgiving in particular, we saw with students needing turkeys and the fixings for their Thanksgiving dinners. I think there's food insecurity that is really kind of a hidden challenge for our students.
Carrie Bernier is our guest today on the program being Community Matters. This is a show where we talk to folks from nonprofits and non-government organizations in the greater Darien area who are helping other people improve their lives. That's what it's all about. and certainly NCC and the NCC Foundation fit into that category. Let's blue sky for a second. If somebody dropped another 3 million in your hat next week, if you had unlimited resources at the foundation, what would you like to be able to do that you can't do now with the funding that you have?
Oh my gosh. Well, how long do you have? I'll give you my overview. My wish list would be, first, since we were just talking about the emergency fund, I would love to add a social worker and case manager and another clinician for mental health. For students, we do crisis counseling that's very short term here. And we have an emergency fund portal on the website where students apply for aid. That list is long and it's hard for the current staff. And they're at the same levels as they were pre-COVID to get through that emergency list in addition to their regular duties. So I would increase the resources around the emergency fund and mental health services for students. I would also really increase our equity work. We live and breathe diversity in the DNA of this school, and it's, I think, unbelievable to learn that we've got real vulnerable populations that are still challenged even here at a school with incredible diversity. We've got men of color have been the most vulnerable in terms of the lowest graduation rates and the highest dropout rates. And so we started Uplift at the college last year, which was a wraparound services program to support men of color. My wish list would be expand that for women, increase the staffing to have paid internships out in the community for these young men and women to get them in a professional setting and the career that they aspire to have, and to give all of them coaches, individual mentors and coaches in the Uplift program. So that would be my equity wish list as well. The other one would be, we've talked a little bit about student navigators. Advising at the community colleges, academic advising has been written about in the past by other publications, and it's really sad to look at the high rates of students to advisor ratios. And I think students often don't get the individualized attention that they need so that they can form a career path, think about what classes they have an aptitude for, all those old-fashioned kind of what color is your balloon or what color is your parachute tests that we did that help guide you and decide, help you decide what classes you should take and where you're going to go with your life. That kind of advising with student advisors that could give students individualized attention would be wonderful. So the ability to hire some student navigators. And then the last piece is looking at, I think, really some exciting fellowships on the faculty to be able to keep the curriculum updated with the times and the workforce needs of our community. When you look at, in particular, some of the for-profit programs for coding and AI, and computer science is one industry we hear about a lot, but there's a lot of other industries that are growing very rapidly. And to be able to bring in adjunct faculty or visiting faculty to teach specialty classes, both for workforce development on the continuing ed side, for people who want to upgrade their education in a certain field, and for our students that are here, that would be a real incredible gift. I think the school, sadly is under-resourced when it comes to a lot of, the ability to really maintain and upgrade the curriculum quickly and rapidly in certain fields. And so if we could wave our magic wand, I'd love to see some kind of addition of programmatic expertise coming in to help students.
Well, there you have it, viewers. There's the wish list that your checks and donations can help achieve at the Norwalk Community College Foundation. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything we should have talked about before we wrap up here, Carrie?
Yeah, well, one thing we didn't touch on as much is the workforce development work that we're doing, both on the continuing education side of the house and on the regular matriculating degree seeking side of the house. One of the things during COVID that the foundation was able to do is partner with some major companies. We started with a Bank of America partnership, actually, and we took a program that was in demand and did a rapid accelerated program to take displaced workers during COVID. We took retail and hospitality workers, We gave them a skills assessment to see if they had an aptitude for healthcare, and then retrained them in a rapid course. It was a 4-week course, and it had been a 10-week class as a certified nurse aide. And these were positions that we knew from our local hospitals, Stanford, Norwalk, Greenwich, and Yale, New Haven, that they had a need for certified nurse aides. And so we were able to turn this class around, and we did a pilot course with 20 students, and all but one graduated. The one who didn't got COVID. And unfortunately, she's okay, but she wasn't able to complete the class. And I think that's an example of a program where you can use a community college to meet the needs of your local community employers. We replicated that program again with medical assistants, which were also in need during COVID. So those are the exciting kinds of workforce development programs that we're doing. And just to touch on something you said earlier, research does show that community college students tend to live and work and remain in the community where they go to school. They've got their roots here, they're staying here. So an investment in your community college is an investment in your community, and in the economic vitality and the productivity of the residents in your community. So I think that's another piece that is important for people to remember about NCC, is that we're really contributing to the local economy and helping to make sure that we've got a productive and robust workforce for our county.
So the next time you're at your you go to Stanford Hospital, Norwalk Hospital, or you're seeing your doctor, you may be talking with an NCC graduate, not the doctor, but the people that check you in and take your vitals and all the rest of that stuff too.
Yep.
Carrie Bernier, our guest today on the program. She is the president and CEO of the Norwalk Community College Foundation. And we're going to put the address right down here, the website address, if you want to get more information about NCC or the foundation itself. Carrie, I want to thank you for being on the program again. Hope we'll have you back again soon.
Thank you so much, Jim. I'm so glad that you invited me, and it's a wonderful opportunity to talk to you and all your viewers.
Well, thank you. And thank you, our viewers, for watching another edition of Community Matters.